Ever feel like you're just on a completely different wavelength than everyone else? Well, today we're going to dive into what we're calling the architecture of a high-level mind, and we'll see why being misunderstood might actually be a sign of something pretty incredible. Let's kick things off with a question. Have you ever felt like people just don't get you? Like you're operating on a completely different frequency in most conversations? And okay, how about this one? Does small talk feel, well, completely pointless to you? You know that feeling like you're just going through the motions, but your mind is just craving something so much more substantial. Look, if you're sitting there nodding along to all this, I'm willing to bet you've been called arrogant or maybe antisocial at some point. But here's the thing. What if that's not it at all? What if you're simply operating with a totally different mental architecture? All right, so let's get into it. Our first section is all about what we're calling your hyperconnected mind. We're going to talk about how it literally shapes the way you see the world. Yeah, this is about the very wiring of your brain. Okay, sign number one, you overthink. And I'm putting that in air quotes for a reason, because we're not talking about those anxious, looping thoughts that get you nowhere. Now, this is different. This is a productive, deep kind of thinking that's just a fundamental part of how you process things. It's not a bug, it's a feature, for sure. And this is where we get to this really fascinating idea of hyperconnectivity. Basically, your brain is wired to connect everything. A simple, surface-level answer? Yeah, that's just not going to cut it for you. Your mind is constantly, almost automatically putting together the full, deep, complex picture. It literally can't help it. So what's a direct result of this hyper-connected brain? Well, you start seeing patterns everywhere. And I mean everywhere, especially in people. You're not just listening to what they're saying, you're analyzing their behavior, their motives, all those unspoken things flowing just under the surface. Think about it like this. Most people are focused on the what of a conversation, the actual words being said. But your mind, it's instinctively drilling down to the why. It's analyzing those underlying motives and behaviors. And let's be honest, that level of emotional intelligence can be kind of intimidating to other people. So this incredible ability to analyze the world, it doesn't just point outward, it also turns inward, leading to this really profound kind of self-analysis. And this brings us to a really big one, which the source material lists as sign number 7. You actually think about your own thinking. The fancy word for this is metacognition. It's basically the ability to step outside yourself and just observe your own thought processes, to really understand your own mental and emotional states as they're happening. And you know what? That's a classic hallmark of high intelligence. But here's the catch. Metacognition is totally a double-edged sword. On one side, it can lead to some pretty intense self-criticism, making it hard to feel confident. But on the other side, that exact same self-awareness is the powerful engine that drives all of your personal growth and self-improvement. Okay, so we've talked about what's going on inside, but how does this complex internal wiring actually show up in the real world? In social situations. Let's dive into why you often interact with people so differently. And that brings us right to sign number 3, having a really strong preference for solitude. And let's be clear, this isn't about being antisocial. It's not that you dislike people. It's about fiercely, fiercely protecting your mental space. So why is that alone time so essential for you? Well, a few reasons, really. For one, constant socializing totally breaks up that deep flow of thought you've got going on. And second, let's face it, your inner world is already incredibly stimulating. And finally, you just need that quiet time to process everything your brain is taking in and to properly recharge your batteries. All right, next up is sign number 5. And oh man, this one can be frustrating. It's that constant mismatch in curiosity. You are just itching to dive deep into big, complex, juicy ideas. But it feels like most conversations are just determined to stay splashing around in the shallow end of the pool. And what about sign number 6? It's that you think before you speak. And I mean, you think a lot. Now, to other people, that little pause you take might look like you're shy or maybe you're hesitating, but what's really happening is a lightning-fast, super complex analysis going on in your head. Yeah, in just a few milliseconds, your brain is processing what was just said, running through all the possible consequences of your response, carefully choosing the exact right words, and only then do you actually speak. So it's not a delay, it's a filtration process. Okay, for our last section, let's talk about the core values that really guide this type of mind. Because this isn't just about how you think, it's about what you fundamentally believe is important in life. And that brings us to sign number 4. You question authority. You question tradition. You just don't accept things because, hey, that's how we've always done it. And it's not about being a rebel for the sake of it, not at all. It's because you're driven by this deep, genuine desire to find better, more logical, more efficient ways of doing things. And this leads us to the final sign, number 8. And honestly, this might be the most defining one of all. You value truth way more than you value popularity. You would much rather be authentic and speak what you believe to be true, even if, and especially when, it makes you unpopular. I mean, it's pretty simple when you break it down. For a mind like this, truth is the ultimate prize. Social approval? Yeah, that's a distant second. And this unflinching commitment to being authentic, well, it can, and it often does, really challenge the comfortable social bubbles that other people live in. So look, if any of this or all of this has been resonating with you, I really want you to let this sink in. You aren't too much. You're not too intense. You simply think deeper than most people. And in a world that so often celebrates the superficial, believe me, that is a rare and incredibly valuable trait. So, here's a thought. What if you stopped looking at all these things as social problems, as liabilities, and instead started seeing them as your unique strengths? Now that you have a better understanding of your own mind's architecture, the real question is, what are you going to do with it?